Welcome to Just Wanna Quilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School, where we explore all kinds of things, stories about quilting, tools, field trips, maybe some famous quilters stop by, and, of course, a little bit of copyright thrown in just for fun. This is Elizabeth Townsend-Gard, your host, and I'm a law professor at Tulane University Law School and a faculty fellow at the A.B. Friedman School of Business at Tulane. And I just want to quilt. All right, so today we're going to have a little bit of a different show. I've asked a few people that have been part of our core team to talk with me a little bit about the year. Today is our anniversary, the anniversary of our first podcast, which aired on February 5th, 2018. And so here are some short conversations with a variety of people. Hey, Judy.
Hi.
Hey. Okay, we're recording, and we're going to just put this together. Okay, so this is for the anniversary of our first year as Just Wanna Quilt. Obviously, we started a little bit earlier than that, but we're making our anniversary. It's kind of like, a baby, right? You're pregnant for a long time, but you have the baby on a particular day. So we're celebrating the birthday as the first podcast that went up, which was February 5th. And since I thought we would just quickly chat about sort of how this happened and what you thought about the year and sort of what happened, what we accomplished in the year. Does that sound like a good plan?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
I remember thinking when you told me about it, I thought, wow, this is quite the idea. I don't know what there is to know about quilting and copyright, but sure. I've always been interested in quilts and quilt patterns. And
So for people that don't know,
there had to be something there.
Right. So for people that don't know, first of all, you're my neighbor. So we were introduced by a neighbor who said we both quilt.
That's how we got to know each other.
That's right. And then we started, then you went to Quilt Market with me the first time, right?
Yes. And we met so many people.
People.
And went around and talked to them all, and there was so much interest.
It was just
something really different to say to people. We're working on a project at Tulane University about quilting and copyright, and they're like, really?
Right. And you taught me that, so this was a year ago. This was the first time, not this last year. It was just kind of you and me, right? So, and you are a journalist by training, so you helped me learn how to just randomly talk to people, which I had never done before. That was crazy.
How to just walk up to people. I mean, it's a learned skill. Anybody can do it, but, you're a quick study. You are a university professor, so you learn things quickly.
Well, and people adore you.
It was very successful.
So that first time we gathered all of these people, and then we started interviewing them just after Thanksgiving of last year. And we've interviewed a lot of people, right?
Oh, gosh, yes. And it's been exciting to get to hear what all these people have to say in the podcast. I have learned so much from the podcast, everything. And I think back to some of those earlier ones and just how different they all were, and about every aspect of quilting and the quilt industry and, quilt people. And it's just been really fascinating.
Do you have a favorite episode so far?
Oh, gosh. That's really hard to say. I really have... Early on, I really liked all the ones that were about process, like how you would interview people about how their businesses came to be. Yeah. And I remember when you were talking to, what was her name? The lady who helped, she was talking about all the different products that they make. Was it? Oh,
right. Jill Repp from June Taylor?
From June Taylor.
She's amazing.
She talked about all the products that they have developed and why they developed them and how they developed them, and even the products that were failures and why they were failures.
Right.
She
was great.
Fascinating.
Yeah. She's amazing.
Yeah. So there's been many of those amazing people. I love the one about Superior Threads.
Yeah.
And how their family had been missionaries in Japan, so they decided to go to Japan when they wanted to have thread made.
That's amazing.
And I really like the process ones like that, where people explain the backgrounds of stuff.
Yeah.
To me, that's fascinating.
And what I find, I totally agree. Every time, it's so funny because it's like they're kind of always, there's something usually unexpected that people start to talk about. That's what I've found.
Always.
Right?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. Yes. Yes. And I love that. It's not, okay, so this podcast has got me interested in listening to other podcasts, I'd never really been a podcast fan before this. So it's really not like any others that I have found because of that unexpected sideways thing that always happens. I love that.
Yeah, right. You never know what's going to happen. And suddenly you're like, oh, well, that's okay. Here we go.
And I would say more recently, the ones I have really interviewed that aren't necessarily about process are the ones where people talk about their creative process and how they get inspired to do things. I love hearing that.
Yeah. So I really love the ones with the regular quilters, just regular people.
Oh, yes.
I find them, I'm really grateful for the famous people, don't get me wrong. That's really important, and they're really interesting, and I'm really thrilled. But us regular quilters, we have a lot to say too, I think, right?
Oh, yes. Yes, and the other day you was listening to one, it was three ladies that their grandmother was a quilter.
Right, Michelle Hall, that's right.
Right. That was very cool.
Yes.
I loved hearing them talk about, and how many times have you had somebody mention as a kid playing under the quilt frame?
I know, right?
I love that. I love that. If you could just go back through the list of all the podcasts and put that on there when you listen to when you ask that first question, that's really a brilliant way to get into them.
Yeah. Now, you sat in on at least one or two of the interviews, and you were instrumental in getting Jenny Doan on the show, too.
Yes.
So tell me what you think about the famous quilters that we've interviewed.
Oh, gosh, that's been great. I could listen to the one with Tula Pink and Mary Fonz was just fascinating because it was a conversation between friends.
Yeah, I heard that they're thinking of doing something together now. They're doing some sort of project together now, so it's pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah.
See, that was you sparked something in them too.
Totally.
It was just such a great conversation, and to hear them like bat it back and forth, the three of you. It was another whole
I have
thing.
to say my favorite part of that was when I was able to ask Tula if it's okay to not make nice things with her fabric. Like I'm like, okay, you make beautiful fabric and I make it not so pretty. And she was cool about it. So that made me. We've also had a ton of people that did protest quilt and art quilters and all kinds of others, right?
Yes. Yeah, I love the art quilters, yes, and the protest quilt, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we've also had, I'm looking at the list, we've had a lot of entrepreneurs, so people that are in the industry that are just doing amazing things. I think of Cheryl Sloboda and Ebony Love and all kinds of people that are really out there doing it on a variety of levels. And Cheryl and Ebony have both been so good to us in terms of their time and all that. What else?
Well, I think this is not about the podcast, but I think I might set the record for the person who's been on live videos looking the worst over and over again.
That's so not true. That's so not true.
At your house first thing in the morning after we've walked your dog.
Right,
and
right.
All of a
So
sudden
one
we're
of the
doing
things
a live video, and I look like I just crawled out of bed because I had.
You had. Right.
So I don't mind.
I mean, so Judy, you have been like behind the scenes. First of all, your idea that we should collect scraps and have it as part of the booth at Houston was brilliant. And you worked so hard, and you were so amazing, and we made a bunch of money, and that was all you're doing. And you have a way of getting people to do stuff that was remarkable. What? Which is really, I did a lot of cutting of those squares. So did Sid.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was fun. Well, when you have collaborative groups, you can just do so much. I was just at a quilt retreat. We posted a live video from there, and we made a charity quilt starting last night at about 6 o'clock. We started making a charity quilt.
Amazing.
And we had it finished before we left today.
That's so amazing.
Now, Loretta Weber took it home to quilt it, but, and there were 3 and sometimes 4 of us working on it. So
that's really cool.
It really makes a difference when you do stuff in groups. So that's a great thing about this group is people are willing to pitch in and do stuff. And, of course, the law students have been amazing. I love to be around young people until the law students have been great.
They've been great, right? Yeah. You've gotten to know them.
Yeah,
they're super
really
nice.
Been great.
One of the projects we did was we came. Do you remember? This is a long time ago now. We came to your house. Remember, Ricardo and Corey came to your house, and we documented your stash.
That was very early on,
right?
Yes. That was very early on. Yeah.
Yep. We were looking at the licenses.
My stash is completely wrecked again. Yeah.
Yep. You needed to come back because we were very reasonable. We organized it very nicely, right?
You guys, yes. It looked
Corey's
great.
here. She's nodding. Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
And what else? You guys went to Paducah? You and a whole group of people went to Paducah?
Yes.
That's craziness.
Yes. We went to Paducah. Mm-hmm. And it was a wonderful trip. And I have to tell you, I never got very far at all with my Gypsy Wife quilt, but I was the one that said, hey, let's make this Gypsy Wife quilt.
It's your fault.
Gigi and I bought the pattern in Paducah, and the next thing you know, there's a Gypsy Wife quilt along, and 200 people are making the Gypsy Wife quilt.
Totally.
And I was going to do mine all scrappy, and I just oh, my God, I didn't have enough organization to pull it together.
That's so funny.
I mean,
Corey,
if
Corey is here right now, and she said she knows who to blame now.
Tell Corey she can blame me.
Totally. See, we are all blaming
how
you.
Much Corey's got done on hers.
Corey's close. Are you close?
Yeah, my mom's sending me everything. It should be here tomorrow.
Tomorrow. So, we're going to get it all up and running. Yeah.
So Corey's mom is coming for the party?
No, she's just sending the Gypsy Wife to here, so we can finish it up.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Cool, well, that's exciting. Yeah, it's a great quilt.
We also went to Houston. We did the Houston trip.
Yes.
That was huge.
We had our booth in Houston. I have never been so tired in my life. I set all new records on my watch for amount of time walking on my feet.
Yeah.
Amount of time standing.
Talking
amount of time,
to people,
being
giving
active.
Beads. Yeah, it was a lot.
Everything. Yeah. Everything. Handing people. So I would just ask people over and over again as they walked by where I was at the area where we're selling things. I would just ask people, hi, we're here with a podcast about quilting. Have you ever listened to a podcast? If they said no, I said, here's a sheet that tells you how to do it.
That's right. Ricardo did that for us. And that was our most popular thing was the sheet about podcasts. It was.
One lady looked at this sheet and she goes, this is the most valuable thing that's here. It's the largest quilt show in the world, and she's going, this is the most valuable piece thing that's here.
What else?
Yeah.
Quilt Folk magazine.
Amazing.
Remember Quilt Folk magazine came? That was a thing.
Oh yes. Quilt Folk. That was a great thing.
Huge.
That started a lot of stuff. Yeah.
The creepiest part of the time was when you and your sister Jill and you were at the vintage sewing machine. And it was just that guy and the two of you. And I was one of the only people watching. And I was totally afraid you were going to get murdered. So it was this weird, you were I don't know. I just thought this is going to end very badly. But it didn't. But it was a little bit scary and creepy. No. And then he would go away.
No.
I know, I'm sure it isn't in person, but on the video, it was very unstressful.
It was amazing. It was amazing. Yeah. We weren't scared at all.
No.
I can see why it would look that way, though.
Yeah.
No, it was great. It was the the Vintage Sewing Machine Center and Museum in Tulsa, near where my sister Jill Elliott lives. And we happened to get there on a Saturday. We never dreamed it would be closed on a Saturday. But the guy is also a tree, he's an arborist. And so there have been big storms, and he was getting ready to go clean up all this tree damage, and we just caught him at this place. Well, we whip out the phone and start saying we're going to do this live video. And he had to take us on this tour, and he kept just staying.
Right.
He was real late to his appointment that morning because he showed us around for an hour, and we got to sew on the sewing machine that used to be on the USS Batfish.
That was craziness.
Submarine.
They were loud. That was amazing.
It was very loud. It was a huge industrial machine.
So, and then the
so
last
it's
part,
one of the items in the thing.
the last thing I want to say is that, like, you've been part of this project in a really dramatic way because, indeed, we do take Rocky and Jazz for a walk, and as we walk, we just keep talking, and we keep strategizing, and it's just been a really amazing year of walking with you and talking about this project. It would be such a different thing without you. So I just wanted to publicly thank you for that.
Thank you. It's really been a lot of fun and really different, you know. I feel like it's my, you know, I feel like it's a group project.
Yeah, I do too. I feel like we really are an army, you know?
Yeah. I think the Quilting Army is a great name for it. And I forget what my title was. Fabric.
Oh, right.
Was it Fabric Commander? I can't remember.
So, something like that. And I'm kind of amazed at how, like, you know, people talk about social media, but I'm kind of amazed at how many friends we've made this year. That's kind of the best part of it, right?
You know what? I thought about that right before we were starting. Yeah. We've made such friends, and it was wonderful. And still, that's still happening.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to Tuesday because we'll get to see so many people in person.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
It's going to be fun. And see them online as well.
Yep. So great.
You know? One of the things that I have found through this project was the Quilt Fiction podcast.
Yes.
Which,
Frances'
you know, I
thing.
sat in on the interview with Frances.
You did.
And
That's
she
right.
is writing this novel, and she about this quilting bee in 1930, and she's writing the novel. She's up to 500 pages, and she reads the chapters of it and posts them every Friday.
That's so amazing, right?
So I'm listening to a quilting novel online. Yeah.
It's so
really
cool.
fun.
It's
So
amazing.
it's just one of many things that have enriched my life because of this project. So thank you for including me. I'm so glad that serendipity put us together.
It's so true.
And
We'll
Pam
have to thank
Russell,
Pam, our neighbor,
our
right?
mutual neighbor.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
It's her fault that all of this is happening. So
Yes.
it's so crazy. Well, the party begins on Tuesday. You and I got to get food tomorrow. We got more to do, but I just wanted to sort of touch base and have it part of the birthday bash. And I really appreciate you calling in and chatting, even though you're around the corner.
Okay. That's a lot of fun.
All right, hold on. I'm going to just stop the recording. We are continuing with our assessment of the year. Right now we have Corey Dutton, who is our law student and has been involved in every aspect of this project in every way. It's so insane. She's just like, what happened to my life? It's terrible, right? So every way. So Corey, like, do you regret coming to my office that day to see if you wanted to be a research assistant? She's just laughing. Is that not what you expected?
It's definitely not what I expected at all.
Now, is this what law school should be? No.
There's cake involved. So
There's a lot of cake involved, right? So tell us what you've done on this project. List off what you've done. I'll help you. First, you were on the Judy
Judy
licensing,
stash,
right?
Licensing.
Right. It took us how many days to go through her stash? 3? 4.
I think 4.
4 days. 4 days to go through Judy Walker's stash. That is a thing. So we have it all documented.
Yes,
we have all the licensing agreements on the salvages that we still need to finish up that project. We have to finish that up.
Yeah, we do.
What else did we do?
What did we do after that?
I don't even know. That was like the summer. Was that the summer?
No, that was beginning of fall.
That was this fall? Last fall. What else did we do? We did the sew along. So that started in the spring, and you've been...
The sew along started in the summer, I felt like. Yeah, it started in the summer.
It started in the summer?
Yes, it started in the summer.
And then so you've been in charge of that in terms of the technical side, and you've been quilting, and you had not quilted before.
No. The only time I ever quilted was a community block when you took us to this quilt show.
The quilt show, and you did really, really well, too. And Ricardo, not so much, remember?
And Will kind of just gave up like halfway through his block.
Right. You helped with everything, every way. You've been our newsletter person. You've just done everything, right? Is there anything you didn't do? No. She's just looking and trying to really actually catalog. Plus, there's like a whole bunch of other stuff you've been doing because you do our other project, which is Duratiinator.
Yeah.
And you also have to help organize the Go Create conference. So you've like just been like immersed in
I remember I was making a conference and you're like, oh, quilt folks here. They want a picture. And I'm like,
Quilt
I'm busy.
Folks. That's right. So we had, this is crazy. I forgot about that. So Quilt Folk came to film us on Thursday. Thursday night is when our really gargantuan conference happened, and then Friday was the conference. It was the most ridiculous thing, and we're going to talk to Julia shortly. She should be calling in. I really did believe we had to recover the chairs downstairs, so that Julia, like, I'm not sure why now, but it seemed really important at the time. And also, we had to really clean and make everything really nice for Quilt Folk, and then they kept going into the rooms that were super messy to look for things, so it was not good. Anyway, and Mary came 20 minutes early, so I didn't have shoes or my hair combed, which is totally reasonable. Anyway, so what else? What has this project been like on the side of, like, it feels like we've learned a lot. There's a lot about the law, about all kinds of things. You helped, like, you were part of a class that did all the entrepreneurial stuff and getting the podcast up, and the copyright class and the fairytale project and all kinds of things that have sort of been happening in, like, amazing ways. Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, you, I can't even imagine this project without you. Like, you've been, like, there on every way, and you are, and you got us ready for Houston, and all of the things that we had to do to get ready for Houston, which was insanity. You kept us on budget, and you kept us, like, focused, and, well,
I won't take the budget thing. Ricardo did the budget.
He did?
He mostly did the budget because I'm not great with numbers or math.
Interesting. So he did the budget.
Yeah.
We went and got beads. We went shopping for beads. We had to get furniture. We had the tragedy of the bar, so we got a bar. Oh, there's Julia. Anything else before I... let's let Julia in. Julia Driscoll is calling in. Hold on. Hey, Julia, we are doing a impromptu birthday podcast recording. And since it began with you, I thought we would chat with you.
All right.
Okay, so we went to Chicago because our children, who aren't really children anymore, became buddies.
Yeah, no, they're not. They're very. Mine in a week will be legally not a child.
That is so insane. Anyway, so we came to Chicago, and they had met because they write online, and we went to visit you, and that seemed weird. So we went to dinner, and it turned out that we were long lost sisters, right? You're like my little sister. I lost.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right? Yeah. So we were like, okay, you guys have to stay friends now because I adore Julia too much, right?
Yeah, I mean, my daughter had adopted your child as, you know, when she saw herself as an older sibling.
Right.
And it was just like, okay, now you two must be friends. And fortunately for us, it worked.
Right. And so what was really interesting is I had gone to interview Weeks Ringel and Bill Kerr, who are super famous, and we've never aired that because it was like a 3-hour interview, and we hadn't really thought about it as a podcast per se. And then I interviewed you and in the hotel room, and it was so magical and so amazing. Like, the famous people are awesome. Like, you're just in awe of them, and they're amazing and everything. But there was something, like, so authentic and interesting, and sort of how you talked about colors and what quilting meant to you and what sewing meant to you, that it kind of shifted the project in this really dramatic way to be like, well, our stories are as interesting as the famous people. And that came from talking with you. So you've always been really like a huge anchor in this project of what direction it went. So I wanted to just tell you that.
And it really touches me that it meant that much to you. It was a very cool experience for me as well.
Yeah, it was really moving. I mean, there's a lot of things. Like, this has been a very emotionally amazing year of talking to people and having amazing moments. But that moment of sort of thinking through sort of what that creative process was and what role it played in your life, and that amazing quilt you made for your that you made with all the colors. It was just, you know, it's just really cool. And you're a librarian. You're a public library librarian, right?
Yes. And I work with teenagers. And I think the one maybe advantage that gives me is I come from a place where professionally, everyone's job, everyone's need, everyone's task, whatever it is, we have to recognize that this has value and importance to them.
Yeah.
And therefore it has to have value and importance to us. Yeah. So when I look at the world, I do see amazing experts who know more than I do and whose skills I can use. But if we're not using it to help each other and help everyone grow, I guess I just kind of look at us all in a way as, we're human, and that makes us equal. And so if our creative needs, there's some validity in that. And I'm not sure what that has to do with your project per se, but I think there's, whatever pursuits we're all after, the intellectual, the creative, all of those meanings, needs, all of those have validity.
Yeah,
and
I think
so
you're right.
I just thought the project you were working on was such a cool idea to study because, crafts and tasks that are sewing related, which were traditionally associated with women, a lot of that stuff has gotten short shrift in history because it's either it's too trivial or it's too domestic or whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. So I've got about 1,000 different thoughts happening all at once, which is how I roll. But nonetheless, there was some cool stuff that I just thought was really neat that you were going to be studying.
Yeah. And then you also came from Chicago on the train, because we believe in trains, to New Orleans. And then you recovered 2 of my chairs because Quilt Folk was coming. That was totally insane, but totally loving.
That was just a family visit.
Totally a family visit.
Yes, it was a visit to take the child to a couple colleges, but that was crazy, but it was so much fun. It was such a blast, and we were flying the whole time.
Yep.
And it was great.
And you were in the magazine.
Yeah, I know. I still can't believe that. I have this little copy stashed away in double layer plastic.
That's so cool.
There I am in the corner, but I'm holding someone else's quilt. I feel so bad about that. That person should have gotten their acknowledgement,
Yeah, it was a crazy time. It was a crazy moment. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you're just you're super cool. So I don't know. I just wanted you to be part of this conversation. We've done a lot of things this year. We'll do more things.
I know. You just had such an amazingly productive year, and everything that you guys are doing, it's at so many levels, and it's just really awesome. I mean, your students have worked so hard. You've put on events. So you've, been doing a crazy amount of podcasts. I can't believe how much you've accomplished. I just think, all of you have so much to be proud of, and I feel lucky that you have been just even a small part of it.
So we just today we were at a baby shower that was for someone at the law school, and so of course we just did a whole bunch of kind of negotiations of what we're doing next year that I haven't even sort of said to anyone. One, we're going to become a benefit corporation, which is so insanely cool. So we'll learn about what that is and how that operates. Mm-hmm. The other one is we're going to be working with the clinic. One of the projects is the Women Incarceration Project, which is that they help get women who were put in prison for many years, like 35, 40 years, oftentimes domestic violence situation where that was self-defense and the jury just ruled that's too bad, go to jail. And they work to get them out, and we're going to be making quilts for them for their clients once they get released.
Cool thing.
Right? So, we're also going to probably do other quilts. We have a juvenile clinic. We have a domestic violence clinic. And so we're talking with them about potentially seeing if the Quilting Army will make some quilts so that they have them for their clients when there are bad times, to wrap them up and say things will get a little bit better soon. So I think that's going to be one of our big projects coming up. So those are the 2 big things that happened at the baby shower today. So isn't that cool?
That is very cool. I love the idea of, we put all this time and this love and the blood, sweat, and tears literally into our projects. And it's such a gift when someone values them in the way that we put the value into them. Yes. I like that element of charity quilting.
So we're working on it. And then last but not least, you sent me pot holders for Christmas that were quilted, and we use them all the time.
Well, I'm glad. I still haven't finished my own set completely, but then again, they proved really useful when I was teaching quilting classes at my library.
Yeah.
And I was able to show the kids what the inside of a quilt looks like with its layers unfinished. So,
well, that's all. Anything else before we end our quick hello?
No, just congratulations on this whole project and this big year. And I think it's amazing what you're doing. Don't kill yourself with it, because we like you and we want you to stick around.
Yeah, but, surviving would be good.
You and your students and everybody just has so much to be proud of. It's really impressive.
It's crazy. So we have Rachael, Rachael and Corey have been sort of trying to summarize the year, and we're finding that we can't even summarize the year because there's so much that's happened that we don't have time to summarize all the guests and all the things and all of that. So I find that really amazing. The abundance of what we did this year is pretty remarkable.
It's astonishing. It really is.
Our word for the year, the next year, is revenue, because we really do need to be a self-sufficient project. The university has given us a lot of money, and they're like, when are you going to be, self-sufficient?
So revenue, okay.
Revenue.
The ideas to think of.
Yes, exactly.
So.
All right. This is Tara calling in, and Tara Miller calling in. And since you are indicative of our year, I figure we would chat. So just about sort of Just Wanna Quilt and sort of what happened to your life. And, are you there? Is this Tara?
Yeah.
Tara? It's weird. It has you here now twice.
Oh, because I called in on the phone.
Hi, Tara.
And now and then I just logged in on the thing.
Well, that's perfect. Okay, cool. Awesome. So we're going to edit it tomorrow and just post it up on Tuesday. And we're doing all kinds of things. There's Corey. Sid's over there waving. Hello. So Tara, you are a really good sport. That would be what I would have to say. Because we had an interview that was totally a reasonable interview. You also connected us, I think, with Krista Watson, who's been amazing to our project and really cool, and she's amazing. You've got your own entrepreneurial business, the District Quilt.
Quilt District.
Quilt District, sorry. I knew that was wrong. Now I just want hamburgers, because we have a place called the District here that's got great hamburgers. But the Quilt District, we still have to go there after this. The Quilt District. And we had this really great interview. And I was like, hey, Mota has a really cool exhibit in Atlanta. You live in Atlanta. We should come to see you. We should come visit you. And you're like, I don't think they do. I'm like, oh, yeah, they do. So then we looked it up, and sure enough, they did, right? And then what happened?
And you came.
I totally came with my crazy teenagers. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And we went.
Yeah.
And then we went to, did we go to South Carolina?
Yes, we did. We went to Seneca, South Carolina, and we toured the Japtech warehouse there with Scott Fortunoff.
I know.
Who does Free Spirit.
Free Spirit. We saw all those palettes of the new Tula line, which was the the Halloween mist, that like ghoulish, so cool. But we saw it was in July, so we saw it just all there. It was so pretty. We had a great time. You were a really good sport.
It was, and we got to see how they. I tell you, the highlight of that for me was kind of nerded out on it, but we got to see the machines, how they wrap it around the bolt.
I know, we did, didn't we?
That was cool.
That was really cool. And then you took me to all these, Atlanta's really got it going with the whole quilting world thing. You took me on a tour of quilt shops. Mm-hmm. We were behind the whole day.
The whole day, because Atlanta traffic is insane, and there's no way to explain Atlanta traffic to people who aren't from Atlanta. And so we had high hopes, and we almost got everything in, but we didn't get a chance to meet up that day with Pam and Len from The Stitch,
which are amazing. And now, right, they've been on the show a bunch of times, and they hung out at a booth, and I adore them. You guys have the most amazing people in Atlanta. Really, the group is amazing. Your crowd is just so cool. But you took me to a Modern Quilt Guild meeting. We went to In-Town Quilters. We went out. What's the one that we went out to that had a bazillion bolts. Remember? It's like your favorite shop.
Threadbare Fabrics.
Threadbare Fabrics. And then my
fave, Georgia, which was a little bit north of Atlanta.
Yeah, Andy Barney at the end of the day, who was amazing.
Yeah, it was him. She's a sewing doc.
Right, sewing doc. Right, teaches people how to fix sewing machines. She's been on the show too. They've all been on the show. Yeah. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
And then you came to Houston.
I did. That was crazy, and I feel bad. I was kind of off my game in Houston because I was a little sick.
You were sick.
But, but man, I mean, everybody, all the people you had there for setup and everything did such an amazing job. And we had a huge team. So that booth, I think, was a huge success. Now,
are you going to QuiltCon? We're meeting up in QuiltCon, right?
Yeah, I hope so. I'd love to have dinner with you or something.
Totally. Coffee. Yes, absolutely. We got to figure out how to get everybody to, like the quilting army meetup. We need a secret handshake. I was thinking like this, right? Like, how you sew things, like the sewing sort of motion.
Oh, yeah.
So you could see people and be like, hey, right? Yeah. Totally. We need a secret handshake. So people just know. Like if you do this, you kind of know, so because somebody could just see us and be like, yeah, and then we'd know they were in the army,
And we just know. Okay, you're gonna have to start that because
of course this is a podcast, so nobody knows what the secret handshake is
we're doing.
Because it's audio.
But if I go up to people at QuiltCon and I do that, they're just gonna think I'm strange.
Totally. Well, you don't think they'll think I'm strange? I'm a little worried about QuiltCon. It's a little too hip for me, I think, but we'll see. I'm kind of a very average person, so I think you have to have a little bit more cool, but we'll see.
I don't think that's true on either count. You're not average, and you don't have to be hip or cool to go, or I wouldn't ever have gone. Yeah.
Well, then we also know about you that you claim you have cats, but we don't believe you since we stayed with you for quite some time and never saw them. So we think you have fake cats. Like mystery, like you believe you have cats, but you actually don't. That is our.
Then whose cats am I posting pictures of all this time?
I don't know. I think you're putting photoshopping them in. Totally. You also had a sew along using your pattern at Quilting on a Budget. Quilting on a Budget, yeah. That group did a little sew along with my pattern, which was really fun. It was so cool to see. It's just really neat when you put something out in the world and people make things with it and make it in their own colors and how they see the world, and that's just fun. So that was a good time. Yeah. So cool.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That's a huge group. I don't know how many they're up to now, but that's pretty big.
They are. They get very big fast. Seth is like the most amazing thing about making groups. It's bizarre. It's amazing. Like he's got like some like Facebook group whisperer because he just knows how to attract people in amazing ways. So yeah, I don't know. There's still it's still a baseball
game. What else is happening?
I was like, is there still a baseball game going on? But I think it's a Super Bowl game.
Okay, yeah. So everybody who's listening needs to know that I clearly don't let.
You're in Atlanta, so you're like in the midst of it. Are you just not leaving your house?
Am I doing what?
Not leaving your house.
Oh God, no.
Right. No,
I was out earlier today, but you couldn't pay me to get on the roads right now.
No, because those baseball people are in town.
Oh, I almost choked on my water.
God, I hate it when the baseball people come to town.
Yeah, those baseball people.
It's true. Anyway. Well, I adore you. You're such a good sport. You are on so many levels. You invited it. Well, we crashed your house. You went on adventure with Sky, with my kid's best friend.
Was the kid there?
Yeah, kid's there.
Kid there? Hey, Sid. Hey, honey. Congratulations on your, I can't think of the name of it, but the poetry thing.
You.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And then the best, the point where I will I'm on your undying friend. I'm your friend till your dying days is when we were at the train station and we couldn't return the rental car. And I was crying in the car, and you were like, just leave it at the hotel. We will figure out how to return it. It was the worst moment ever because I was like, if we can't get on the train, I don't know how we're getting home. Like, it was terrible. And it was 4th of July, and everything was going wrong, and you were just... Oh, my gosh. Yes, we did. We had the crazy limo driver. We didn't order a limo. It just happened. That's a whole nother part. But you are amazing on so many levels. Amazing quilter. Oh, and you also caused a huge controversy for us. You were our first major controversy. The flag.
Yeah. Yeah.
You made a quilt out of flags. Real flags.
Yes.
And you posted on 4th of July. And then people lost their minds over it. And so we had to do a whole bunch of work about sort of First Amendment and art and flags, which I thought was really interesting. So I was okay with that. But that happened too. I forgot about that part.
I'm really happy that it started a conversation. And I knew that it would be uncomfortable for some people, and I expected that.
Yeah.
So, but I was happy how the conversation went, and not in the end. I think it ended in a good place.
It did. It did very much. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else you want to add to our birthday compilation of impromptu weird things that we did this year? Things.
Well, because here's the thing, and I said this in private to you, but I think it needs to be said in public too. And the thing about this podcast that I think, for me, is one of the things that makes it stand out is you. And not just because no one else is like you and that sort of stuff, but because you're not about making it some kind of perfect, hyper rehearsed or anything like that. It's just real and authentic and genuine. And you just come to the table and you just have conversations with people and you treat everyone the same, regardless of, who they are on the totem pole of the quilting world. And I think that resonates with people. And that's why this has been such a huge success. Is I think in large part attributed to that. So you are awesome, and thank you for letting me be a part of it.
Well, you're a big part of it. You're part of our family. You're like it. You're Tara. It's awesome. And
I miss you. I feel like I haven't seen you in forever.
I know. And everybody has to drive with you because it's an experience. Because you comment and curse like no one's business, and you really do judge every single driver on the road.
Yeah, I do. And I think, I don't know if that's an Atlanta thing or what, but, and then I'm over it.
And I find it really funny. It doesn't upset me. I just think it's hysterical because you have this running commentary about pretty much whoever is around you on the road the entire time you are driving. The entire time.
Yeah, I do.
It's quite lovely.
You got to keep yourself entertained, right?
It's true. Makes me laugh hugely. Well, I really want to come back to Atlanta.
About that.
There may be a copyright conference thing happening in June, so I really want to come back. I want to be a member of your Modern Quilt Guild because I love the people there. I want to be a local.
Well, come on, sister, anytime.
It's awesome. Thank you for being willing to come on. Like 10 seconds
thanks
notice.
For asking me.
Because we're like, crap, we have to do something for Tuesday.
What?
Yeah. All right. Well, come hang out with us on Tuesday and eat cake. See,
I would love to sometime.
Cool.
Let's hook up. All right, I will track you down in QuiltCon.
All right, cool. That sounds great. We'll just have fun, have lunch, or
right.
we'll just do whatever we want to do, dinner, whatever.
Whatever we can.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know you have a more rigid schedule.
I have to teach. I have to do 2 lectures and a 3-hour thing. That's like it starts at 6:00 at night. I don't know who's. I mean, I'm going to be like so sleepy. It's going to be bad. It's going to be very bad.
I can bring you some sugar. I can bring you sugar.
Sugar's good.
Yeah, let me know what room you're in. I'll bring you some sugar.
Sounds good. All right, sounds great.
All right, kids.
All right, bye,
Talk to y'all later.
Okay,
Bye.
bye. All right, so Sid Gard joins us. They are my kid. They have been on the podcast a little bit. They have been at Quilt Festival.
I've done a lot of behind the scenes stuff.
And we talk a lot about you on the show, which I'm not sure you know about or not.
I also have a tendency to start controversies without being in the without talking on the Facebook group.
It's true. So part of this journey started with us. First of all, do you remember when you first started quilting?
Yeah, I was like 5, and it wasn't really quilting, but you were quilting. We had a very small house, and our whole dining room was taken over by sewing machines at one point.
Yeah.
And
well, we were sewing in the little house, the little yellow house.
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
I was 5.
You were 5, of course.
So, yeah.
Okay.
And you made me iron stuff for you, which
I
seems
did.
like the weirdest part to have a 5-year-old do, but
Totally, but you were good. It was fine, right?
yeah.
Okay.
And then when I was like 6 or 7, we did paper piecing together,
Right.
and we made a owl, which I weirdly had in the Quilt Folk magazine.
Right, your Owls and Quilt Folk magazine. How cool is that?
Yeah, and
I know.
a pig that I think we got rid of at some point.
I think I still have the pig somewhere. It's
Pig was
kinda
always
cool.
odd.
Pig wasn't as good as
No.
the owl. No. And we made those little blocks too.
Oh, and the
Right.
little blocks, and then the Joanne's like block of the month
right.
one that I
Block
never
of the month.
finished, but spent 2 years doing.
Right, with those big blocks. And then we also went on a shop hop. Do you remember the shop
I remember
hop?
the shop hop. I remember the shop hop. Yeah, all around Louisiana.
Yeah.
We only did half of it.
Uh-huh.
And then we went on our crazy train adventure.
We
and
did
part
go on
of
a
it
crazy
was
adventure.
that's when you met Julia, which you guys talked about a little bit already.
Uh-huh.
We also went to Vermont, which was
Right, that was for
an
my
experience.
birthday. Right, so for my birthday, we went on a quilt retreat to Vermont for 4 days. And you quilted there, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I quilted stuff with. I quilted.
And that was before the project really got started, right? So we were like just experiencing everything, and like doing a Vermont quilt retreat was like a thing. And so, yeah,
That was really weird.
it was really weird. It was totally weird. You know, the weirdest part about it was that I got there and realized I didn't really want to quilt in front of people.
Yeah.
That was a bad moment. I'm a lone quilter. Okay, so the last year. So how has Just Wanna Quilt impacted your life?
That's such a vague question. Like everyone else, you were like, "Here's the things I've done with you." No, you're just
Right.
You're acting.
Well, first of all, you get irritated because you never know if we're reviewing.
Okay, she doesn't have any sort of like way of telling us if she's in the middle of being live on air, or she's just listening really loudly to the stuff because she has to listen through it before she posts it. And so I'll walk in and say like some crazy thing, and she'll be like, "We're on air." I'll be like, "What?"
Oh, the worst one was when we haven't aired that one yet. I don't think.
Jackson.
Jackson.
I babysit a kid whose mom works at the law school, and you guys were live, and I was working really hard to keep him out, but it just
Then he realized
4-year-olds are a
yeah,
unstoppable
way
force.
Into it. You also went to festival. What was that experience like?
That was a lot. It was interesting. I did most of the like
selling
selling
You
stuff.
were great at selling.
Yeah.
And
that was odd. We got an embroidery machine there.
we did get an embroidery machine there
For a new project that
that we haven't talked
we
about
haven't
yet.
talked about
Yeah,
yet, but we're not.
we're going to be really exciting. You also were part of the Quilt Folk magazine.
Yes, I was there for all of that.
And in the magazine.
I'm pretty easy to spot in the magazine.
All right. And our Patrick, our rescue cat.
Yeah, Remy's
Is in
not.
that?
No, Remy.
No, he wasn't born yet.
I don't know. I've been around for like all of the things, and
It's also kind of destroyed our house.
Oh yeah, we're not going to talk about our house. Just the amount of chaos in the room behind us.
Right, because we took what used to be the library and turned it into the sewing room, and then it's just gotten more and more out of control. So eventually the clubhouse will be at the university, but we're still negotiating on where space might be at the university.
Yeah, and then, I don't know, so like all the things we've done, I'm always around. So
You're always around.
festival, I was around. The birthday party, I've been helping plan alongside
The
Corey
launch?
and you. The launch, I don't know. I've always been part of the team.
Part of it. I love it. How do you feel about the fact that I talk about your non-binariness on?
I don't know. It's like I'm fine with it, but it's an odd thing that it's so public, and then it's public coming from a place not from me. That it's not me being public about it. That it's you being public about it, and that I don't know, just the way that stuff like the biggest controversies in the quilt stuff always come from
when I post a transgender.
When you post anything trans related.
Yeah.
And I always feel like, ugh, about that.
It makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
What did you think about Mary and Marianne Fonz talking about
Hannah?
Hannah, yeah.
It was very sweet.
Yeah.
It was nice to hear.
I don't
know, it's a surprisingly, like, quilting, so often people assume it's just like old white ladies, but it's not in a lot of ways. I mean, there still is that as a thing, but it's a lot more diverse than people realize. We have amazing African American quilters, we have amazing male quilters, and we have amazing LGBT quilters, and all the other things that I have not mentioned.
Right.
And there's so many things where our quilting itself is an art form. I'm an artist. It's just another material to use. It's fiber arts, and I think the things we make and the things we discuss are inherently a part of our identity.
Yeah. How did you? We also went to Atlanta. We were just talking to you, and we went to the Mota Exhibit, the craft activism.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that experience.
It was a really cool experience. There was some really, really amazing stuff there.
Sean Kimber, who's my all-time favorite quilter, everything she does is amazing. Her piece was right there, right when we walked in. It was amazing. We saw all kinds. Sarah Trail. You met Sarah Trail. Tell us about Sarah Trail.
I love Sarah. She's great. She's absolutely wonderful. She runs Social Justice Sewing Academy, and she's just
it's incredible,
awesome
right?
person.
Yeah, huge role model. Amazing, doing amazing work. We went to the warehouse. Remember the warehouse? We went to Japtek's warehouse. It was really hot.
Yep, Sky was there for that too.
Sky was there. We picked out fabric for one of the projects we're going to start in May.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell anything about that? We'll wait till May. Okay. What else?
I
don't know. You're really nice about saying. Oh, so last thing. You quilt obviously with me sometimes, but I'm kind of get insecure. And one of the things that you and Sky are really nice about is what are you?
don't know. We help you with colors. And
we help with colors. You try out the size of blankets. You come and say, do you have any advice to like kids or
I don't know. Like, just like be positive about
Be positive. Just be like, do you have any like?
No, I don't really.
No. You are very positive. Well, I really appreciate you chatting, and I'm sorry that it's taken up so much of our life because it kind of is overwhelmed. And also, there's a lot of quilting people who have keys to our house now.
That's really weird. That's the line that I can't deal with.
You can't? Why?
Because I'll be like taking a shower and be like trying to find clothes and have a towel on, and I walk out and like Edith or Judy's there, and I'm like, okay.
There's a lot.
There's just no. There's no set. There's no boundaries, and there's no set of when people are coming or when you're recording. I think I've been saying this for like a month. She needs to get a whiteboard that's a calendar whiteboard and write when all the interviews are in a place that's easy to see from everyone.
Awesome. Well,
that's my rant.
We'll get an actual clubhouse and not have just people randomly showing up. How did you feel about the long arm?
The lights are murdering my head.
Yeah.
But beyond that, it's cool.
Okay. Anything else? No? You ready for year 2?
Yeah.
Year 2.
Yeah, you should interview Patrick.
Patrick the cat?
Yes.
Patrick the cat?
Because he quilts with you.
He does quilt with me, and Remy, who destroys everything.
Remy doesn't understand quilting.
He does not. He doesn't understand the physics of it, and he just thinks knocking things down is like his job, right?
Patrick wants to quilt.
Patrick does want to quilt. He yearns to be a quilter. It's true. All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So now we're talking with Rachael. Rachael has taken over our Instagram account after many conversations with many people trying to get me to do Instagram the entire year. We did pretty good with Facebook. Our Facebook is pretty good, right?
Yes.
And now we're moving on to Instagram, and we've got a challenge, right?
Yes.
Our big challenge.
Yes.
So you've been, you along with Corey have been, I like your ring. That's really cool. That's so cool.
Okay.
you and Corey have been getting organized to celebrate our birthday.
Yes.
So I wanted to sort of, what have you learned about us? And why don't you ask you ask me a couple of questions about sort of what the year has been since you've been investigating so that we could and how's the Instagram account going?
Very good. We have many posts that are going to go out next week. They've kind of started a little bit, but we're going to send about 3 a day throughout the days. And it'll be really interesting and a nice little recap of the year, that just as small as we could do it, because there's so much we've done. And so we just did the bare minimum, sort of.
Yeah, it's kind of remarkable, right?
Yes.
And you've come on, you have worked with us through the class in the fall, but you're officially on the team pretty recently. So you're kind of getting up to speed on sort of all the things that happened, and also you're friends with Corey and Ricardo, so you kind of see it as like, oh my gosh, you're doing that again, right?
Right, yes.
Okay, so what did you learn about our year?
That we did a lot of different things. We were all over. There were festivals constantly. There's a very good fan base of quilting army members that participate in everything we do, and they're very supportive of one another. And there's just so much creativity out there that I wouldn't have necessarily known about without doing this.
How do you think, like, we've been doing this at the law school, why do you see, I see why it's cool to inject this into a law school, but how as a law student does it impact on sort of how you think about potential clients or other things?
So definitely, generally in law school is theoretical, the study of law, but this is actually really practical, and it affects real people, not just corporations or big name different places. This is real people creating their things that they want to be protected, and that there's not stores that are out there stealing the designs without the proper compensation. So it's a good way for people that have no idea their legal protections, right. Just a very easy way of knowing that what they create is worth something and that they can't take it away.
And you and Ricardo, who's been on the project the whole time too, have been producing, and we are going to air soon. What?
We are going to launch Ricardo Thursdays, and it starts on Valentine's Day, February 14th.
Hold on just a second. We're going to have to pause for 1 second because I think that Gigi is. Hello?
Hello?
Hey, do you know who it is?
Hi.
It's Gigi. Hey, Gigi.
Hi. What do you have to do?
Hi. So we're recording just little quick snippets with people tonight because I'm not that organized for Tuesday. So we just thought we would quickly say hi and talk about the first year and sort of what the first year has been. And you've been super part of it from the very beginning. You are the core team. We're trying to talk to the core, and you were one of the core from the very beginning. So I just thought I'd see if you quickly say hi to us.
Yes, I'd be happy to. And I was thinking about it today because, the things keep popping up, our birthday. And I think one of the coolest things that's happened is, I guess virtually meeting so many people, like Ilsa from South Africa, and Carol, who's bringing Boudin tomorrow, that I haven't met personally, but we were in a quilting class together recently, but we didn't get to meet. And and then meeting people in Paducah and in Houston, it's just been so amazing, that part of it to me.
And this kind of started, I was talking about sort of the origin point. There's a lot of different origin points, but part of it was I had to make those 3 ridiculous jackets, cosplay jackets, and I went to Uptown Needle and Craft, and we spent a lot of time. You taught me how to put zippers in and sleeves, and you were super supportive, and they actually turned out, and it was amazing. And then we just started talking, and I was telling you about this ridiculous project, and you've been in from the beginning, really. It's kind of...
and actually, if I'm going to be honest, when you were talking about this ridiculous project and you kept saying, do you want to be a part of it? I'm like, sure. I have no idea what you're saying, but okay, sure. I'd be happy to be part of it. I don't know what you're talking about, but okay, sure.
That's totally awesome. And I think about all the crazy things that you've done this year. You've gone to Paducah with us. You dragged Hillary, your best friend, into all of it too. You,
right.
You painted a table, and you've got these great pictures of you like putting the table together at Houston Quilt Festival. And of course, the biggest thing you took on was the Gypsy Wife with Corey. And Corey's here.
Hi, Corey.
So what was that experience like? You obviously have run you had your own sewing business, and you teach sewing, and you are about sewing, and you also have a teaching background. But tell us a little bit about your experience with the sew along.
It's been really, I've loved every second of it. It's hard though, because I'm used to one-on-one contact and having people in there, and it's hard to explain things to people on a video. And as you can see from the very first videos, they were awful. Corey and I are trying to Zoom teach each other. I'm like, okay, Corey, do this. And that wasn't successful. But, well, I mean, it was, but it wasn't as successful as I think it got as we went into later months. It got better with the videoing. But it's hard to do videos well and have them edited and have them be succinct and not too long, but helpful. And so that's something I'd like to really get better at doing. But other than that, it's the whole getting it together and setting up the schedule. That took like 2 months for us to figure out how to put everything together and put it in a timeline that people could do and have time to work on it and stuff. That was doable, and that was, I don't want to say easy, but that was all doable. It was mostly the hard part was doing the videoing and hoping that it was helpful.
Yeah. Well, people have really loved it, and it's been amazing to see that it's keeps growing. People keep adding to it. It's kind of remarkable.
Right. It is. It's so funny because I'm in the last strips. I'm in my last little sections of putting everything together. And, if you would have asked me 4 months ago, I would have said, would I ever make this again? But if I did do it again, now I'm saying if I did do it, which is like, I'm getting into a, positive part about it. I'd probably paper piece all of the blocks. Yeah. And then, because I'm loving adding the strips. I thought I was going to hate that part.
You do? Can you come over and do mine? Just
love
kidding.
it. I will not do yours, but I'm going to bring you my little rubric that I've been using to keep it all straight.
Yeah.
And in my little mind, it works really well.
Yeah.
The way I've numbered it and everything, I'm going to bring it to you on Tuesday. Happy birthday.
Well, and Corey's mom is mailing hers, so we'll try your system on hers. So that will be really great.
Okay.
It'll be
super good. Cool. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And see how that. Wait. I didn't realize it was not here. I thought Corey's was here.
No, it's in Florida right now. So her mom's mailing it. So. Okay. So what else? You helped us make our first T-shirts. That's pretty cool. Remember that?
Yeah, that was fun. Yes. And we made aprons, and that was fun.
Aprons, right? You made really cool aprons. Gosh, they're so cool.
But it's just, I don't know. I mean, and I guess getting into the whole legal part of it has been interesting, and all the things that the sponsorships that have happened, and that kind of stuff has been. Yeah, that's been cool. And I don't know. In my little world, that's just not something that I ever really thought about.
Remember the brouhaha when you started the
Yes.
Yeah, that was weird, right? Yeah. So when you started go ahead.
Yeah. I was just gonna say when I started it and I posted the very first things, like this is what we're gonna be doing and this is the schedule and these are the squares, and people came out and were so upset about that I had put on there some measurements, but it as you told me, you can't copyright measurements, and so it was okay to do that. Plus, it was everything that was. I mean, it's all over the internet.
It's all over the internet. Yeah, and so people freaked out, and I really get it. It was from their own personal space if they wouldn't want their pattern.
Of course.
But the thing is that this is a massively very, very famous pattern, and we did a couple things, right? We made sure that people were like saying yes. First, we made a smaller group on our Facebook group. We put a Just Wanna Quilt Gypsy Wife quilt. So that helped, right? That people were, random people weren't just like seeing it all the time. We also made a question where they had to say, yes, they bought the pattern. But, you know, you really can't do this pattern without buying the book. Like, it's just like,
I mean, I don't know
really
how you could.
You know?
Well, I mean, I guess you could make a version of it. I mean, you could do something that was similar. But you know what's so interesting right now is the pattern is not available.
I know. What's that about? Right?
I don't know. But there's a group in Lafayette, Brobridge area, a quilt guild that's trying to do it as a guild together.
Yeah.
And they cannot find enough patterns.
So interesting. It's weird, right? Yeah.
Right.
It's super weird.
And then you had the whole thing with some people were like, well, I have the first edition and their mistakes, and I don't have the first edition, so I don't know how to correct their mistakes. So then we were researching that to figure out how to tell them. The good thing about it is it's very forgiving, and so you can add a border if you need to add a border, if yours doesn't come out the exact size and that kind of stuff.
Well, it's interesting. So we did this. We didn't really know what we were doing. You guys, Judy was on earlier, and she said she was one of the people saying, we have to do Gypsy Wife, and then she dropped out really early. So she thought that was funny.
She bought the pattern before I did when we were in Paducah. She was like, oh, we are going to do this. And I said, okay, let's do this. It's going to be so much fun.
And you know how I feel about the pattern, right? I had already failed on one of Jen Kingwell's patterns. So I was like, I'm really not keen on this, but if you all want to do it, that's fine. And so I'm happy to do it too. But I was very cautious about the whole thing. And we did contact her. We didn't get a response. We've contacted her a couple of times. And I know that with quilt-alongs, oftentimes you have like a endorsement deal or you have like all kinds of things, but we just did this because we wanted to experience it and we could do it because of first sale doctrine. And then we did have all the controversy of people, but what was so interesting, and you could kind of see like why you would want, like if we did it again, not this thing, but whatever we do next, you can kind of see why you would want the economics to be like, well, we should buy the patterns wholesale and sell them. And that we would get it. We didn't make any money off of this, right? We just did it for fun. But if you've got 300 or 500 or 1,000 people, you can see how that could add up in terms of just buying the pattern, or kit. And that's why I think they're so popular, don't you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes. I still don't understand. I wish we could talk to her.
I know. Weird, right? I don't understand.
I think I wonder sometimes if part of the problem is the translation from metric to our standard unit of measure. I wonder if sometimes that's a little bit of the issue with some of the things not being exactly as easy to
I don't know. People
follow.
love her. So, I mean, and it's so funny because we finished this and we've been looking for a new quilt along, and I was like, no. And then I was like, you know what? Lucy's that fairytale quilt's pretty cool. So even though I was like kind of grumbly the whole time, I still think that her patterns are really made in some way, and her daughter's patterns for really awesome quilt along. So I can see why they're so popular. So the future. So we've been talking. So when you were at Quilt Market, one of the things I asked you to do for you and Hillary is to start to just kind of scope out like different potential projects. And we found some interesting ones that we're going to start to post once Mardi Gras is over, because we have to concentrate on Mardi Gras for a while. But what do you think about, what are we looking for in our next sew along? Do you want to do, and we're going to do another one, but smaller ones, right? Try to do.
I think there are several different things. I think we can do smaller ones. I'd really love to do one of Maddie's from Quilt Smart. I love her stuff.
Yeah.
And the Island Batik stuff was so pretty.
Yeah.
But those are not necessarily giant things. And I think the difference with those is you learn a technique and you make the quilt. It's not like Gypsy Wife where we had so many different blocks and so many different things to teach.
Yeah.
That's why I say they're smaller, because there's not as much teaching involved.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of doing another big quilt along that would be different techniques with the paper piecing and with all the things that make it a little more special, or a little more involved, I should say.
Yeah.
Special,
well, when we go to QuiltCon, I thought we would like scout around. I would really like one where we are engaged with the designer, and that we do, our word for the year is revenue. So we got to generate a little bit of revenue, see how you can make one of these successful. So I think we were successful in what we did. Don't get me wrong. I think our numbers are great, and you were amazing, and people are still signing up, and they're using and we're keeping up the videos because they're amazing. And you and Corey were an amazing team, and Corey's newsletters were just amazing, right? Weren't you just sort of amazed by all of that?
They were great. They were great.
Yeah, they were great.
They really did.
I think it was just so much work is what I'm sort of amazed at. Yeah?
Yeah. It was a lot of work, especially the video. I mean, now that looking back on it, it was all day, trying to get the videos in and making sure that because I would maybe do something and then say, oh, I forgot to tell them to do this. And then I'd go back and read, So it was, the video.
It's a lot. So you can kind of see like where we become like almost the marketing for the pattern. And so we should get a cut of that. It's kind of the feeling. Now, what do you think about like at some point, like I know Gnome Angel has gone to this, but designing our own pattern, or having the Quilting Army design a pattern so that we are doing our own thing. Does that make sense? Like either asking designers to do something for us, or having ourselves create the book. I
like that idea a lot. I think that's a great idea, especially after seeing the amazing work that everybody did for those common squares.
Yeah.
I mean, that was amazing.
I know.
That was amazing.
I know, right?
I loved seeing all those blocks. That was great. So I think that kind of thing could be really, really fun, and it would be ours.
Yeah.
Not that I don't want to support the artists that are out there and the designers out there, but I just think that eventually that would be a fun thing for us to do. Yes.
I'm thinking now we've gotten probably 35 squares now from the Common Pool Project. And the Common Pool Project, for those listening that don't know, is you make a common block, a public domain block, just a regular block, but in our colors, and you send it to the law school. And we're trying to sort of gather a bunch of these. But I think, I'm starting to think about what do we do with these. And I think we might try to send them out to the Quilting Army to see what they do when they get the blocks. And sort of the next step is sort of if you have a bunch of blocks show up, how do you make them into a quilt, and what do you do, and how do you add to it, or how do you if you get 5 blocks or 20 blocks or whatever blocks show up, what do you do with it? So I think that would be the next step, is sending them back out.
Cool.
So I don't know. Well, anything else before I let you go? Are people watching football at your house? Is the game still on?
No, it's a boycott the stupid thing.
Boycott.
Where are we watching? Yeah. Boycott. I've got my TV on PBS. It's watching Queen Victoria now. So
I love Victoria. I love that.
I love Victoria.
I've been binge watching the first 2 episodes. I mean, the first 2 seasons. So I'm finally caught up. But
wait, and then afterward, we're totally off subject, but I just watched. They had a whole thing on her clothing, and they had this awesome, another special about all the clothing that she had made, and it was amazing. It was a really fun one to see.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, again, I just want to thank you for being part of all of this. I know.
Well, thanks for inviting me to the craziness.
The craziness, right? The craziness will continue. We'll sort of figure out what's next. And I can't wait to see you on Tuesday.
Wait, you didn't even bring up the sloth costume. The sloth costume.
Right, the sloth costume.
Wait, we should wear those on. Tuesday to the party.
Costume. That's right. We should bring the sloth costume. I love that. Yes, we got a sloth costume that people probably don't even know about. That was craziness, right?
Right.
I picked up the kid from camp in the sloth costume, and she knew it was me, and we were in your car. How does that happen? How does she know that it was me picking her up?
And it was 700 degrees outside, and it's a giant fur sloth.
Huge. Oh, yes. And she was like, oh, yeah, that's my mom. It was awesome.
It was awesome.
Well, you're awesome.
Adventure. All right. Well, happy birthday to us, and I will see you on Tuesday.
That's awesome. We got 4 cakes from Nothing Bundt Cake coming.
Oh, fine. Yeah. What about, are you going to bring your gypsy wife and we'll work on strips or not?
Oh, yeah, I probably should. I can't, I was trying to figure out what I was going to bring, and maybe that's it. Maybe just get gypsy wife done. I was kind of freaking out because I was like, what should I bring? I'm not really quite ready, but you know what? Get that. I think that one, I've got the zoology one that needs to be done. So I might bring that one or the Lucy Kingwell, that fairytale quilt, which I've been using, and it's super lovely, even though you're not supposed to be paper piecing it, but I'm doing that.
I don't think that matters. I don't think it matters.
It works.
I'm bringing my hand sewing.
Oh, I might do that too. And we have that huge hand sewing project that Paper Pieces gave us that Edith has. We should start to think, and I have a huge bag of colorful fabric for it. So we might think about that too, and start to divide that up.
Okay. That sounds fun.
Yeah. Are you doing the hand quilting from Kristen Esser's?
Yes.
Yeah, I've been doing that too. It's great. Although I hate triangles. I just hate them. I hate them.
Oh.
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
Maybe you can make me love them more. I love squares. Squares are good. Squares are solid.
Triangles are bad.
Insane.
Yes.
Triangles are just fussy and a little bit, they think a lot of themselves.
They do.
I just
What about the rhombus? Do you like the rhombus?
I don't know what a rhomba is.
Parallelogram? Do you like a parallelogram?
I don't know. I'd have to experience it,
It's going to have a little bias cut on it, so we'll just stick with squares with you then, okay?
Just with squares, really. I'm serious. Yeah. Just squares. Just really boring squares. And I just feel like that's all I can handle at the moment is squares,
We'll bring your hand stuff too.
Okay. Yeah, I will. I will. And, that's what I've been doing mostly. And I've been doing it, totally not be putting this on air. But I've been doing it while we've been in class. So that's been really great too. Because we had guest lectures the last couple of weeks.
Perfect.
So I've been able to sit in the back and Allison's been marking them for me. So it's been great. Yeah.
Nice. Very cool.
I like the hand quilting. It's very chill, right? It's very nice.
Well, and there's so many more places you can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you can come sit down and watch Victoria and do it. Exactly. That's right.
In the car, in the classroom, in meetings. Yes.
Right.
Great. It's very cool. Okay. Very soothing. All right. Well, I'll let you get back to your family. We'll see you Tuesday. We're also going to go to Costco and get a ton of food. We were going to do fancy food, but then I just thought, well, it's just us. Just the quilters. Right. So let's just get, and there's an oven there so we can heat stuff. So
Carol's bringing the boudin, so don't forget about that. Did you see that message?
No.
Carol from I think she lives in Brobridge, is bringing boudin. She wrote a message today that said, "I'll be there bringing boudin."
Oh, that's great. I love that. Okay, cool. Awesome. All right. We'll see you Tuesday. Safe travels.
Okay. Back. Sounds great. Thanks.
All right. Take care.
I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. So where were we when Gigi called? Don't even know.
I can flip it on you now.
Oh, sure. Go for it. Okay, sure.
So since I'm new to the project, how about you go through everything that you remember that we've done this year?
Well, I think going to Quilt Market the first time and just emailing the people afterwards and then starting the interviews that Thanksgiving, like I did most of the interviews for the first season, which the first season was February to July, over that holiday break. And so nobody really knew who we were. We weren't up yet. People were and they were really amazing conversations from like people that were in the industry, like Todd Purcell or Cheryl Sloboda. We started with Bob, I've never say his name, Ruggiero from Quilts Inc., who's amazing, and it's been like so amazing. Heather Kubiak, now McFarlane, who came as a lawyer. And we put out 18. So the IP and entrepreneurship class learned about podcasting. And so they said, well, you have to put up a few when we first launch. But then I couldn't decide what they were. So we ended up putting up 18 for our first week. It was totally insane. So we kind of always were a little over the top from the beginning. And having the class involved was amazing, right? So 20 plus students all working to figure out how to get the podcast up and how to get the legal aspects of it up. So it's always been this very sort of gregarious, big, huge, lots of people involved. I don't think I'm answering your questions at all. What else? Then the quilting army, which grew, and we're always cool and always doing stuff from the beginning, from Judy and Gigi and Edith and all the other ones, Camille and Jeanette and Beth, and like you could just name over and over again. And we started we're now up to 2,000, but we know a lot of the people. Like I'm amazed at how many people that we know that we've really become friends with over the year. So that's kind of a lot of rambling. I don't know. What else? Our opening was amazing. Allison and Corey organized that, and that was amazing. Quilt Folk showing up, and Quilt Folk came twice, and they were amazing. They came to film us, and then they really loved Alan Childress's quilt, who's a law professor at the university. And so he and Tula had a day where she made a quilt based on his mother's quilt or his grandmother's quilt, and so they came to film it. And so that's how Tula and Mary came to the house. So that was really remarkable. And Alan had no idea who she was at all. And so Tula, like we show up and like it's early in the morning and we're at City Park and it's just weird because there's like nobody there. And it's like we're waiting for the thing to open, the garden to open. And we're all standing around and he has no idea who she is. Like, and Tula's so used to people always sort of knowing. And he was like, I can't remember, there's a quote in the pattern they made, which is like, you're really good at this. You should have you ever thought of like making this into like your job? Or, she's like, I don't know. I'll think about it. It was really great. So I'm like, she's like Elvis, right? She's like this rock star quilter, but he didn't know. So that was awesome. What else? Mary was awesome. Mary Fawns. I think she's amazing. So she came. And she's quilting royalty. Her mother sort of started the big revolution in her mom, along with others, in the 70s and early 80s. And so she grew up with quilting, and then she was on TV and PBS with her mom. And then she had her own, now she's part of Quilt Folk magazine. And so she was amazing. And really was nice to my kids. So, that goes a really long way. And became a friend in a really kind of cool way. She's just amazing and super busy. And I don't know, she's just great. I don't know. That's a lot of rambling. What else? Looking at the list. Another question? You want me just to ramble?
You just ramble.
Let's see. Leah Day. We had famous people. We had Leah Day. We had Vanessa Vargas. We had a really bad experience our first day out because I promised to edit something out, and then we put the wrong file up.
Oh no!
And they were livid because they were like, please edit this out. And then we didn't. And I hadn't thought first to either have people review it, ask them if they needed to review it, and to actually review the thing. So now I'm super cautious because that happened. So that was a bit shocking and stressful. What else? I don't know. We've had inventors on. We've had famous people, a lot of famous people. Leah Day and Marianne Fawns and Mary Fawns and Jetty Doan. And we just aired Joe Cunningham, and we had Rob Appel, and Patrick Lowe's has come on a couple times, but there's been sound issues. And then Weeks Ringel and Bill Kerr, which was our first episode, which we've never aired because it was very private, and we need to the sound isn't that great, so we need to redo it. I'm missing tons of people that were famous that came on. Victoria Finley Wolf came on. She's very, she's from New York, and she's an artist, and she's very like what you think of somebody who's like in the New York art scene. So she came. It was cool. It's very cool. Lots of people.
So something I was surprised about was like the international following.
Yeah.
And how there are people from all over.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And were you surprised by that? The fact that there are people in different countries that are listening?
They're listening, and there have been guests. So we've had a guest from Ghana. We've had a guest from Germany. We've had guests from all over in amazing ways, and we have more scheduled. But yeah, I think it's quite amazing that quilting is international and that our audience is international. It's really great. Lots from Australia. We had a lot of interviews in Australia as well. One who we could never get the time right, so we just finally was like, okay, let's just do it right now. We've had, it's cool. A lot from Canada. Canada rocks. We got a lot of strong Canadians. Also interviews with Canadians. I like Canadians. We just did one yesterday. It's cool. It's very cool.
Also, we just found out how many episodes are being downloaded recently. And what did you think about that? Just the sheer number.
I think it's interesting. Our download numbers are really good. We're getting between 1,500 and 2,000 downloads a day now, which I think is really great. But what I think is really interesting is until we put the monetization, the ads on, we couldn't really see how many were streaming. And so our streaming numbers are much stronger now that most people are streaming and not downloading, which I think is an interesting trend to switch it up. So, hold on. Okay. So, Edith, thank you for being willing to chat with us real quickly. Just quickly. So, I thought we'd just quickly talk about the year. So we can add it on to kind of our retrospective birthday bash podcast, if that sounds okay to you.
Sounds great.
Awesome. So I remember you signing up for an interview, and I remember meeting you before the interview at the Gulf State Quilting Association meeting. Do you remember that?
I certainly do. You have a good memory.
Yeah. And and I remember our interview, which was beyond awesome. And I remember coming out to your house and getting really lost. And you helped me get to your house. You stayed on the phone, and I thought we would be lifelong friends after that.
I think we are.
I think we are. I totally think we are. So
so you owe me another visit, you know.
I totally do. Sleepover this time, because you live a bit of ways away, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
It's true.
So there's an open invitation for you to come back.
Sounds good.
And
I like that.
It has to be a quilting day.
Totally.
Yes.
You have a great studio.
Yes.
It was fun. It was really fun.
Yes.
You have a great house.
Yes. So now we have a quilting day on schedule for tomorrow.
Yes, we do. Tomorrow at the law school. You promised, you and I promised each other we're just quilting all day. That's it. Like nothing else, just quilting.
Nothing else, no planning, no working, other things.
No anything, just quilting. How great is that?
Exactly. That sounds like a good plan.
It does, right?
I hope we stick to it.
I hope so too. We'll have to police each other to make sure we just do that.
Well, I guess we have to have a goal so that we can kind of hold ourselves to it.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your year, and let's talk a little bit about Just Wanna Quilt year too. You've had a pretty amazing year, right? You've had things at Quilt. Your quilts were at Quilt Festival, hanging next to Sue Blyweiss's stuff, which is amazing. Yeah. And you've gotten in shows all over the place, and you're doing your own show with somebody later this year, and you've been quilting, and you did another show here in town, with Seeley, and you're just you're becoming this thing, right? You're becoming a thing.
I don't know if I'm becoming this thing, but I can certainly say that there's a bigger world to quilting than I ever imagined.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so much fun, and it's so many people that you meet, and I'm just enjoying that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It's really fun. And you went to Paducah for us?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was good fun, too.
That was amazing, right?
Yes, I'm ready to go back.
And you and Alfred, your husband, went to Market and Festival, right? You and Alfred went to.
Oh, yeah, that was fun, too.
That was amazing. That was overwhelming.
These things, well, it was amazing. And the good thing about it is I had been to the festival a couple of times before, so going to Market was a brand new experience. And so, you think sometimes, well, I've done this,
right?
But when you get there and see this, it was opening another world. It was totally different.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that, and I enjoyed meeting so many of the quilting personalities in Houston.
It's fun,
and
isn't
they
it?
are.
Yeah.
Many of them are pretty. When I say regular, I don't mean their skills are regular. I just mean that they speak to you and talk to you just like another quilter.
Yeah.
And they don't, they don't sit up on a big tower and look down on you. They talk to you about your skills, about what you're working on, and things like that.
It's true. Hey, I forgot, you're also in Quilt Folk magazine.
Oh, yeah. Now that's a biggie.
That's a biggie. And the quilt that's in Quilt Folk magazine, is that your grandmother's quilt?
That is my grandmother's quilt. And I need to tell you that not only is that quilt in Quilt Folk magazine, but it's also in the 2019 calendar for Quilt Folk.
So cool. We talked about this before. It was so cool to have the story about Just Wanna Quilt and be able to, include everybody, the locals that are in the Army, and not just locals, because Julia was in it and others were there too, and the students. Yeah. But we talked about your thoughts about having your grandmother's quilt in that magazine and in the calendar, being chosen for the calendar. Can you just talk about sort of the meaning of that for you in terms of her work in a national space?
Well, it's it's just that when you have things like that, even though it's special as a family keepsake, you don't think of it as being special in the broader world of quilting. Mm-hmm. And so it was a quilt that we had. We loved it, and it was just our quilt. But when someone else looked at it, and like Quilt Folk, and it was recognized with them, then it just became like, wow.
Right.
You mean I could have something like that? Right. And, of course, it put a little pressure on me, because if my grandma could make a quilt that is worth keeping over the last 75 years, then I wonder if I'll ever make anything that is that noteworthy.
The pressure is on.
The pressure is on.
That's funny. Very funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I'm so thrilled that it is there, it's being recognized, and and I do want to make something that's really nice that stands the test of time like that.
Well, and your stuff is amazing. You are brilliant. You haven't been quilting that long, and you're just you're like a quilting savant. You're just incredible in everything you do. I know you work hard, and I know that you've worked hard. I mean, I know that but your stuff is just killer cool and amazing, and you make everything prettier. Every time, you're just amazing. You really are.
Well, it's so fun. It's so fun until it just doesn't even seem like, it's more like when you sit down with your materials and your, your ideas. It's such a challenge to make something that I think that I like.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I can put together a quilt, but to put together a quilt that I kind of beam over is a lot harder than just making a quilt.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
it's
I understand.
Trying to get the colors together and trying to get the designs and just all of the little parts and pieces.
Yeah.
And to make them say that this fits my style and this fits me.
Yeah.
And that gets a little hard at times because you second guess yourself a lot. Like right now, before I called in to you, I had a background started, and guess what I'm doing? I'm taking it apart.
Now, one of your secrets that you've taught me, because you're making me a better quilter, is you use glue a lot, right?
But this one didn't have glue.
Didn't have glue. This one you have to rip out. But you do a lot of testing with glue, right? Is that
I test
seams?
A lot of things with glue, and then the other thing about glue it allows me to start an idea. Sometimes I can put it together pretty fast so that I can get a better idea of how sometimes it's as simple as sizing. Do I want the pieces to be this size or do I want it to be that size?
Yeah.
And what's going to be overwhelming? What's going to be the right fit?
Yeah.
And, and that kind of thing. So when I cut something out, I can cut one out at one side, then cut another one at another side.
Yeah.
And then put it together with glue.
Yeah.
And I got an instant, idea. So I can say, okay, now I'm ready to sew.
Yeah. It's so interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, what else? So you and I spend a lot of time dreaming. I would say that's the other part of it's been such a great year because most afternoons you and I spend a little bit of time, maybe 10 minutes, maybe a half hour, talking and dreaming. So what are some of our dreams that we could share with people? We have lots of dreams, right? We're really good at dreaming things up, and some things work and some things we do and some things we haven't done yet, but we will eventually, I think,
And some of them we dream of them and we abandon that idea and then we come back to it.
Yeah.
So that's fun to me.
It is fun, isn't it?
And it's fun when you can dream with a person who understands a dreamer.
Yeah.
Because
totally.
Some people don't understand dreamers and they think, well, you told me you were going to do this.
Right. They're like, why didn't you do that? Right. They're kind of mean, right? Yeah. I thought you were going to do that. Why aren't you doing that? Right. Yeah. No, we're not that way.
But dreamers kind of understand that you can say, oh, this will be a great idea. I'm gonna try this.
Yep.
And then dreamers know that other dreams kind of step in front of the last dream.
That's true.
And you try it if it makes sense on the day that you're ready to try.
That's true. And I think dreams, I think kind of all of our brainstorming builds to other things, and then we kind of pull back and say, well, is that really the way we want to go? And there's a lot of, and yet I think the other thing that I really, really, really enjoy about you, besides being positive, is that you're never like, oh, well, we can't do that, right? But there's a sense of let's just try it, and we've got big dreams. Like you and I both really want a clubhouse. We've even looked at property, right?
Yeah.
And we'll get there. It's such a nice part of the day to talk with you in the afternoon and to sort of, what are we dreaming today? It's awesome.
Really. And a lot of times when we start to talk, we think we haven't been dreaming.
Yeah.
But when we start to talk about what we are doing, you say, well, I haven't heard you talk about this before. And it turns out it's a new dream.
It's true. Now, truthfully, we have all these parts and we're like, I didn't even know you were going to do that, right? So we talked every day and I didn't even know you were going to go do that. Both of us, it happens to both of us. Like you took a class recently, I didn't know you were going to go take that class.
That's right. I'm not the only one.
Yep. You're not the only one. It's true.
Right.
So the other thing is that you have I don't know how you do everything. I have to say, I'm somebody who does a lot of stuff, but I think you give back to the community in amazing ways. You have a professional long arm business and you do stuff for people, and you just are I think you quilted 3 or 4 quilts for JustWannaQuilt this year for us, and just was always like, here, take this. You're just like, oh, here, I'm taking this, right? And you're just so incredibly giving and kind, and at the same time you have cows. I don't even know how you do that. How do you have a farm with cows, run this huge business? You just do so many things. It's kind of remarkable that I'm always asking you how the cows are today, but it's amazing.
Yeah. And I think in addition to being a dreamer, I'm a doer.
You're a doer. Me too. And that's what makes it work, right?
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Because there are some things that I guess, I don't know. I know which dreams to kind of delay. And then there are those dreams that I'll have and I'll immediately start to cut, trim, sew.
That's right.
You just kind of know.
It's so funny because, like, when you're like one of us, like dreamer plus doer, sometimes people think you're being spontaneous, but it isn't. It's like what you are doing next. Like when it hits, you're like, oh yeah, that's the right thing. But sometimes it seems like we're a little like, impulsive, maybe, right? Impulsive, maybe.
I think that is part of the. I can be impulsive with quilting because this is my hobby.
Yeah.
And I don't feel. I compare that sometimes with work. When you work, you're waiting to get someone else's input and what they want you to do.
Right.
But when you have these hobbies like quilting, you have your, you have your fabric, you have your supplies.
Yeah.
You know what your style is. If you do applique, you know that. And, if you piece or if you paper piece, whatever it is, your style, when you see something, you kind of know in your head whether that's your kind of cup of tea. And you put it together and you start to work on it. And I think most quilters kind of feel the same way, that when they start to do something, they want to get to that next step so they can see how is this going to turn out, and then how is this going to look with this. And so it moves from a piece to a block, then attaching a block to another block. Before you know it, you're well on the move. So I think that because this is my hobby, I don't have to wait for anybody to give me direction. I don't have to wait for anybody to say, well, we're going to do this and next week is our day.
Right.
I can do it right now. And if I want to do it right now, I can. And if I want to delay it for a week, I can delay it. So
now,
it gives me control, I think.
Totally. Now, the other part of like our year has been the amazing people we've met and the amazing people whose stories. And I know that like Sarah Trail's story really affected you. Like, I wondered who else, and tell us a little bit about tell us about your experience with the project itself and the people we've met and some of the interviews you've listened to.
The project has been it's been incredible. It's awesome. I love almost every interview that I hear because it's always something that is unique about that person's style, their philosophy. It's something just a learning experience. And because I don't have that, I guess that background of many, many, many years, it seems that I'm curious about so much.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm building, I guess I'm building a complete me because
I like that.
Because I don't have that big, that big library of quilting styles and who's right and who's wrong. And so I get a chance to listen to different people's techniques and philosophies and all of that. And I think I do a lot of mixing and matching of techniques inside of what I do because, like I said, because it works for me.
Yeah.
And if I need to have whatever, if it's rulers or if I need to have something that's cut this way, or if I need to do an applique, I can just do it because I'm not stuck in any particular person's style.
Right.
So listening to all of the different interviews and listening, there was an interview you did on the origin of creativity.
Yeah.
That one, I was just like stuck into that because it was, even though it was not just like, it wasn't cut and dried.
Yeah.
It was the idea, the concept of where you are and how you get to where you are.
Yeah.
And it gives you, I guess, just listening to the different designers, it's just kind of fascinating to hear them speak about different things. And I love to see the background of what motivated people.
Yeah,
I listened to, not too long ago, I listened to Carly Porter.
Mm-hmm.
And I like her work a lot. I was already buying her long arm patterns. And then I started to look at her fabric company, and I said, oh, wow, there's so much. So then sometimes you get so much that you have to kind of take a deep breath and stand back and say, this is a lot. But I love to see, just like with Carly's designs, a lot of the designs traditionally, the designers had designed more like with women in mind, I believe, because they were more things like flowers and, almost all the patterns that I was picking up had flowers and things like that. Well, I find now that men are quilting, and if men are not the ones that's quilting, a lot of women are quilting for men in their lives. Mm-hmm. And they don't want designs with little floral motifs and things in there. Mm-hmm. And I looked at Carly's designs, and I said, she's got it.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's got it. She puts together designs that are well suited to fit, anybody's quilt.
Yep, I agree.
And they look good.
Yeah.
And the designs themselves, wow, you can do a whole cloth with just using her design and putting the right thread on there, and it speaks for itself. So, and I love, of course, with the long arm side of it, there I went. I said, okay, now I can have a lot of negative space, and I can take these designs and put it in there, and you still got a quilt.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking, is that I don't have to just pick up a traditional book and pick up a traditional design, or I don't have to get a pattern and try to make that pattern to the letter because that's the way it was designed.
Yeah.
I can actually put little bits and pieces of different things, in there, and I can buy Carly's design and put it in my quilt the way I want to put it in there, and I can buy other people's designs. A young lady, Angie Turner, out in St. Louis, she's making quilt patterns, and she does a lot of the mathematical approach. Say if you use this angle, then there's a complementary angle, and lots of beautiful designs there. And so I just find that listening to all of those different interviews, it actually opens the mind to possibilities. And that's what this project has done for me, is it kept me from being in one place, and it's allowed me to look at it in a much broader view.
That really, I'm glad you say that. I feel the same way. I think it makes me feel more like I can be whoever I want to be, and that it gives me ideas of new things to be.
Exactly. Because, of course, with dealing with copyright and everything, people constantly say, am I allowed to do this, or am I allowed to do that? Well, what I'm finding is, as I quilt along, my work is not anybody else's work anyway, because as you start to do it the way you want it, it ends up not being anybody else's work. You can take a traditional pattern design and make that block, and then add another one to it that might not even be the same, block.
Yeah.
And then you leave an open space, it becomes a new quilt.
Yeah.
It just does.
Yeah.
So I think with that in mind, I've just kind of said, what do you feel? What are you thinking? And just go pick up some of my fabric and lay two pieces together and say, I like these pieces, and then start quilting. So that's what it's done for me.
That's really cool. Well, your friendship and your brilliance and your the poetry you create in all of the work you do is just awesome. And so I super value. I'm so glad that for so many reasons, I'm glad this project is what it is, but your friendship matters a great deal. Hugely.
Yes.
Hugely.
Yes.
So.
I think this project is really wonderful. I think it has united a lot of quilting and a lot of techniques all in one place. I think it's given us a wonderful chance to explore and to, it's like, well, you're doing the research, but it allows us to go to this one-stop place and grab onto all kinds of research, but it's valuable and it's credible information.
Yeah.
And so we don't have to wait until we all know master quilters and all of that,
mm-hmm.
but we don't have to wait and bug that person over and over about, could you look at this? Am I doing it right?
Right.
We get a chance to go right to this, to the podcast, to the Facebook page, so we can communicate back and forth. I think it's just, don't you think that's good in itself, that we don't have to try to go to the library or go to the quilt shop all the time to try to find a book to give us one answer when we've got tons of answers right there in one place?
Well, and the community is so cool because it's a mixture of so many different kinds of people and famous people and regular people and industry people that it's really amazing conversations that are happening on the Facebook group in ways that I just I didn't expect, and it's really amazing. And as I said, and people are so responsive and kind and accepting of each other, and I just think it's been amazing, and so many new friends, right? So many new friends.
And speaking of those industry people,
yes.
Oh my goodness, I didn't expect for them to be on board as much as they are.
Yeah,
they are. They've seen the majority of the industry people that I've been in contact with, they seem to really be interested in knowing what quilters want, what they need, what they expect. And they seem to address concerns, like they listen right away to see what we want. And they're quick to show their wares, show you what's going on, and show you how to use a product. So I'm really impressed with them, too.
Yeah, I am, too. And they've been so generous on their time and resources and all kinds of things. So it's been a really amazing year. It's an amazing group. Well, anything else before we end this brief call and keep going with the day of all the obligations we have for the day?
Well, there's nothing much left except that I think I'm getting ready for a party.
Totally. We're so getting ready for a party. We have 4 cakes.
I'm trying to make sure that I have all the little gadgets.
Yes.
That
it's
true. Like to use, because you know how that
true.
works, too. You can have that special, you have a pair of scissors and everybody has a pair of scissors, but you like your scissors. And so I'm trying to put all the right things in the box, so that when I come to the party, I'm ready for the party.
Yep, totally. Well, we're going to quilt, and that's all we're doing tomorrow. We're just quilting. Just want to quilt, nothing else. We're just eating and quilting, and the dean's going to come by and see us eating and quilting. It'll be great.
Okay, and hopefully we'll have our shirts on that says Just Wanna Quilt.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Totally.
All right,
awesome.
And I can see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Okay, hold on. Let me turn off the recording. Ricardo. Tomorrow's the birthday. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, cool. Tomorrow's the birthday. All right. So, how did you get involved?
1 year.
1 year. It's crazy, right?
Crazy.
A little bit longer for us because we started the birthdays like the first day of the podcast. So it turns out it's like more like a year and a half for us, right? We did stuff before that.
Yeah, about right.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, how do you explain this project to people, and how did you get involved with it?
So the way I explain it to people...
Yeah, does it depend on who you're talking to?
It does.
You're like, I can't explain my life anymore.
I go home and I tell my dad, I just deal with quilting. Quilting all day. That's all I do.
Yeah,
now.
Right. It's just like, oh no, I've ruined you. I don't know if I even want to meet your parents at graduation. They'll be like so mad at me.
Yeah, they're coming. I told them we're having dinner.
I know, we totally are. They're going to be like questioning me about my... Anyway, it's all good. Oops, sorry, I just knocked stuff down. Okay. All right, so the project. So the project, tell me what your thoughts are about it now that you've been on it for a year and a half.
Where do I begin?
I don't know. We did a lot of stuff.
We did a lot of stuff. So it was different when I first came on board because I'm not even sure that the podcast was an idea yet when I first came on.
Either. I think you're right.
So I think it was just the research aspect of it.
Right. That came later.
So yeah, we went around taking photos of the licensing on the fabrics and everything.
That's right. Yeah.
And then you started recording like crazy.
Yeah.
And then it became this podcast. And then I remember doing trying to get licensing for the music.
Yeah, that was really hard. Right?
Yeah, it gave us. It was like a month and a half. We were just getting the runaround on that.
Yeah, because we wanted to go use Girls Just Want to Have Fun, and then we got all this conflicting information about whether we could or couldn't use it.
Right, and then we ended up getting like a price quote, but it was like per episode, and it was a crazy amount.
It was like $500 or something per episode. Right. They asked, how many episodes are you going to do? And I was like, you don't want to know.
200?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's going to be a little pricey.
Yeah. So then we went to podcast music.
That's right. And I remember for a little while we were toying with the idea of doing like an acapella version of it.
I forgot about that. Right, because because we got this information that if we did it acapella, that we didn't need the sound recording, and then we could get, and that somehow we thought that someone told us that we had a license that we could use the blanket license at Tulane, which was totally wrong. Right. Yeah, so then we abandoned all that. That was a lot. I forgot about that. That's a lot.
It would have been horrible if we had done an acapella version.
It's hysterical.
The intro.
Right.
But yeah, and then podcast grew, and so just working on that, doing the giveaway.
No, you did the giveaway.
Recording Houston.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about the giveaway.
Yeah, the giveaway. You've been behind all three of giveaways in terms of getting it organized and legal and all that.
It's surprisingly hard to give stuff away. There's a lot of rules, and especially because you're a law professor and I'm a law student, so it'd be weird if we didn't do
We're like, whatever.
So it's easy, I guess, if you're going to do it wrong or somewhat illegal.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we had to take the extra step and really make sure we did it the right way.
Totally true. Well, that was
we
a lot.
were little giveaway nerds for a while.
Yeah, totally. And that took a lot of time. It was weird how long it took to get the giveaway stuff information. Everything takes a lot of time.
It does, yeah.
What else did we do?
We had the class. The class I think really helped us a lot.
Yeah,
last
they did.
Fall.
They were great. Right. It was nice to have a big team. I mean, slightly inefficient team, but you know what I mean? Like, we're not like a well-oiled machine. It's slow, and we have a lot of conversations. But we made the logo in class. Like that was all a team effort. That was great. It's craziness.
Yeah. I think, just having the team, I think Allison was the lead on that.
Yeah,
she
Allison
did a really
great.
good job.
She did great. She really did. Yes. And all kinds of other things happened. You and Corey went on an adventure, but that was for the other project. But then you went to USPTO on our ruler project. Remember
That's
that?
right. Yeah. We set up an interview with an examiner at the USPTO in Alexandria.
And that was not helpful at all, right?
No, not at all. not even a
little bit. Yeah. It's weird, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I wasn't sure what I thought he could tell me. I guess I was looking for like a critique of past patent applications, and he was really unwilling to do that, which is reasonable. Yeah. I guess I just didn't really consider it at the time. And so pretty quickly he was just kind of like, nope, I'm not going to talk about that.
That's
so
funny.
We just kind of stared at each other for like 40 minutes.
So, yeah, you're from Houston, huh? So what about Houston? What was that experience like for you?
That was insane.
That was insane.
There was a lot going on. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I'd only ever been to like a smaller show, and I think maybe only once before.
Right, because you went to the Slidell one. That's right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I didn't really know what to expect, but it was a lot of fun, and it's just fun being around a lot of creative people, and they all seem to know what they're doing, and even if they don't, they'll let you know that they do.
Right.
So
they like to tell you a lot. Like they want to teach you all the time because they think you're
right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a funny position you're in. And then of course Corey lost her glasses and had some weird eye thing. Well, that was a whole big snafu. And then you had to also deal with
was fun.
That was a mess. Like she couldn't see. It was so bizarre. She kind of fell apart. Everybody fell apart. And then
everybody fell apart, and then we had the IKEA.
Oh, I forgot about that. Right, I posted about that today. Right, IKEA. Somehow IKEA makes everything better in my world. So yeah, we did go to IKEA a couple of times. We had to get stuff for the booth, and it was awesome. Right, the music.
Yeah, I think that was like our second or third time because we had been to Houston beforehand.
We did.
The first time.
It's true. We went to Houston and we had meetings with Quilt Inc. in July, which was awesome. Yeah. Among other things that we did there, but
the Sid the kid came, and
the kid came. That's right, and Sky
hung out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was fun. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I remember the first time I went to IKEA. I bought like a little pet rat, a little stuffed rat. I still have it. He's on my couch somewhere over here.
Very good, awesome. Yeah, so IKEA. We went there a couple times during Houston because you got to go to IKEA for things, but then sometimes you just need to go to IKEA because it's IKEA. So yeah,
you listen to the tunes and you walk around.
Oh my gosh, you dance. You just dance through the aisles until they turn off the music.
Until you get thrown out of IKEA.
Right. We got thrown out both times because it was closing time, not because we were disturbing people.
Well, we were stealing things as well. But...
stealing things from IKEA. Like you got this big, huge table under your couch. Don't mind me. I just have a Billy bookcase under my jacket. Okay, so what else happened? You had to drive a truck. That was a lot because of all the furniture.
Yeah.
And
that was an experience.
That was a lot. And then you are very popular with the quilting ladies, which is really weird. They like you a lot, so we think that's awesome. But I think, a lot of people like you, Ricardo, not just quilting ladies. I was thinking about this. You're just a very nice person, so that helps. You weren't...
Well, but the odd thing is you're always surprised when somebody likes me, which I find funny. Yeah, you're like, I don't get it. Why, Ricardo?
Well, they don't, it's not, no, but I'm just saying, it's not like they like you, but they kind of like, they love you, you know what I mean? Like, and they don't even know that Corey and I exist. So it's this really funny experience, of like, people just like, they really, really like you. So, and you're awesome. I mean, I really like you too. I'm a quilting lady. I get it. I get the appeal. You're just kind and funny, and you laugh at everybody's jokes in a great way, and you're very cool and nice, and all those things. So it's not bad, but they're like, they're really into you. Like you've got a fan club. So it's cool.
I don't know about that, but it's nice.
It's totally true. Well, and you've been really awesome on the project, and you're very funny, and you tolerate me in a very nice way, and I appreciate that. So there's a lot. It's just a lot. Between me and Corey, you've spent a lot of time dealing with people in law school. So
a lot of Pink on the radio.
A lot of Pink. That's true. A lot of Pink. That's true, because I can only drive if Pink is on the radio. Which makes my kid really angry, but it is what it is. So it's true. What else? I don't know. Why don't we talk a little bit about what you and Rachael have been up to? She started talking about it, but then we got interrupted, so I'll add it into the birthday podcast. So tell me what you guys have been up to.
So sort of like an offshoot on the Instagram account. We're going to be doing, we've actually already filmed several of them, but they're going to be me teaching you something within a minute. Mm-hmm. I think it's Ricardo teaches you one thing in 1 minute.
Right.
And so it's usually, or it's always copyright related, different aspects of it. Just something that we can put out on there, and I think it's going to hopefully help some people.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty cool. We go around, we change locations for every shoot. So there's a kind of a funny.
Oh wait, hold on. The kitchen just turned something on. Hold on. I don't even know where it is. Okay. So the videos. So the videos are one thing in 1 minute, and they'll play on Thursdays, Ricardo Thursdays, and in Sid has just come in. Can you say hi?
Hi, Ricardo.
Hey, Sid.
And I think it's really great. I mean, I've seen the whatever they're called, the drafts of them, and they look great. And we also, you and I are writing a book on copyright and on various aspects of intellectual property, which is great.
We are.
And we are.
And then also in the spring, this is the spring, but by the end of the spring, hopefully I'll finish the patentability project.
Yeah, the patentability rulers project, which I'm really psyched about. We got to keep getting back to that. And then we're hoping to get you out on the road to different places to do lectures and help people learn about copyright. And I think it'll be awesome. Really, really awesome. Of course, you're graduating, which makes me really irritated. I don't know why you and Corey think that's okay, but you're graduating.
I mean,
so
you can fail us and hold us back a year.
You think, I know. You think that's a joke, right? But, be like, I don't think so. You're not graduating. But you and Corey work in very different ways, and you work together really well, and you both are just really awesome, both individually and together on this project. And it's really hard to believe that we, walked over to Judy's house to start that project with the licensing and looking at the different fabric licenses and what it's turned into is just incredible. It's just been this crazy and fully jam-packed year and a half. It's remarkable. You've been remarkable.
Thank you.
Yeah, really.
It's been fun. No, and we've learned a lot. Not to sound cheesy, but you've been pretty awesome to us, and you've given us crazy opportunities to learn and get our hands dirty. So thank you for all that.
I appreciate that. Well, and there's more adventure, and we're quilting tomorrow, so there's something to that. So it's pretty cool. Oh my gosh, and there'll be lots of cake, lots and lots of cake. 4 cakes.
I heard there's 4. Oh, I thought there was even more.
4.
Four
cakes.
4 is pretty crazy, but yeah.
I mean, they're not big cakes, you know what I mean? They're like 2 10-inch and 2 8-inch cakes. So, I mean, we didn't go crazy on cake. But they should be pretty awesome. They come with balloons, so that's pretty great. Cakes that come with balloons. Well, as I said, you're amazing and awesome, and you put up with so much, and you find the humor in all of it, and you're insightful and thoughtful and kind and clever, and it's been really super delight to have you on this project. It would be very different without you, and I have fun writing with you, and I just think you're cool and awesome and funny, and you put up with a lot, and I appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Cool.
It's not true, but I'll take it.
It's totally true. Anyway, cool. Awesome. Well, I'll edit this in. This is the last of the interviews. And we will have our birthday podcast officially done. So I'm pretty psyched.
Cool.
Awesome. Okay, hold on. Let me end the recording. Hold on. Been an amazing year filled with the quilting army and famous people and students and adventure and all kinds of things, and I can't wait to see what happens in our second year. But tomorrow, we all are just going to quilt. So you've been listening to Just Wanna Quilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School, and I'm Elizabeth Townsend-Gard. If you like this podcast, keep listening. Also, we have a Facebook group. Come join us. We talk about a lot of things. We also have an Instagram account. And of course, most importantly, I really hope you get a chance to quilt today.